Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. It's over for Derrick James and Errol Spence, or is it? There's all kind of reports floating around here on the internet that Errol Spence and Derrick James, they've gone separate ways. Somebody even said that Derrick James told Errol Spence to get out of his gym. Now, they're saying the reason for the, rumored feud is that Derrick James wants more money. Now, what's being said by several people, everybody claims they have their source, but they don't ever divulge who the source is. So take what I'm telling you with a grain of salt, because nobody's told me shit. I'm just out here watching videos and reading articles and trying to piece it together. But what it sounds like to me is they had an agreement that if Derrick James would get a certain percentage of whatever Errol Spence contract, whatever amount Errol Spence signs for to fight. So if he signs to fight for $100,000, that contract in particular, Derrick James would get a certain percentage. Now, anything above that contract, where we're talking about pay-per-view sales or other modes of revenue, Derrick James doesn't get any of that. And to say now that Derrick James is like, look, I want some of that too. And it seems like Errol Spence hasn't paid him or doesn't want to pay him. And Derrick James is like, if we're not going to settle this, then we can't move forward. And as a result, they've gone separate ways. Now, what I'll say is this. Being a guy who's dealt with a lot of multi-million-dollar contracts, and I'm talking about with having to sit down and deal with acquisitions and contract guys and huge teams and put together contracts and sending aircraft to depot facilities to be overhauled and have work done, right? Whatever is in that contract, you have to do. If there's a change made or something that you're like, we can't do this, or we don't think we can do this any longer, you have to get agreement from the other side, and then you can amend the contract. If there's something more to be done that the other side wants or you want to do, there has to be that conversation and an agreement, and it has to get approved. Then you can amend the contract. With Errol Spence and Derrick James, all the money that they've made together, and the fact that Derrick James trained him from an amateur to where they are now, I find it hard to believe that they have an issue over money. Errol Spence, his dad, that whole union over there between the Spences and Derrick James, you can't make me believe that this split has anything to do with Derrick James feeling like he deserves more money. I just don't believe that. Why wouldn't a guy like Errol Spence want to give Derrick James the money that Derrick James, I would say, deserves? You look, you know what is disappointing about this? Because you saw Triple G and Abel Sanchez go through some bullshit. You saw, Daniel Jacobs and Rozier go through some bullshit over this. When Triple G worked out that contract with the Zone, he was going to make a whole bunch of money. He didn't want to change how much money, whatever contract he had in place with Abel Sanchez, he didn't want to make a change to give Abel Sanchez a little more money. He just wanted him to get what they had already agreed to, and that was it. Abel Sanchez wasn't trying to hear that. And Triple G wasn't budging, so they went separate ways. As a result, Triple G he never looked the same after he left Abel Sanchez. Simple. Isn't that his name, Abel? Yeah. He never looked the same. Daniel Jacobs, he got greedy. Got the DAZN money. Didn't want to really pay Andre Rozier a little bit more. They went separate ways. Daniel Jacobs totally fell off the face of the earth. He looked horrible. He looked apprehensive. He was overthinking. He wasn't the Daniel Jacobs who was a beast, for the Brownsville Beast. He was a guy who looked more like a guy who gets out the shower to take a piss and gets back in the shower. So now they hear that this shit is happening with Errol Spence and Derrick James. Okay, let's say they split up. To me, it's stupid. It's just money. If it wasn't for that guy, Derrick James, Errol Spence wouldn't be where he is. And I'm going to say that because he was an amateur fighting, and his dad knew it. Errol Spence needed some work, and he took him to Derrick James, asked him if he could help, and he said yes. If it wasn't for Derrick James, Errol Spence wouldn't be where he is. Simple. And actually, if it wasn't for Errol Spence, Derrick James wouldn't be where he is. You know what I'm saying? Errol Spence put Derrick James on the map. And as a result, Charlo came over. Frank Martin came over. Ryan Garcia came over. So there's a complementary relationship there. But you just can't make me believe that they're really splitting up and this shit has something to do with money. If it does, that just lets you know that money's the root of all evil. Greed gets you nowhere. But they got to be able to resolve this, because I don't think Errol Spence, just like Triple G and Daniel Jacobs, I don't think that he is going to get any better under the tutelage of anyone else. I think he's going to fall flat on his face. But if he does go somewhere, I think he needs to go somewhere, like I said in the previous video, someone with more of a Mexican style of fighting. Because Errol Spence isn't a guy who's floating like a butterfly and stinging like a bee. But anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. I hope they get it together. I'm gonna jump off of this video because I just had somebody hit me up about an auditing job, and I told y'all YouTube ain't paying that money. I'm retired. I don't have to work. I haven't worked in 5 years. YouTube is fun. It's therapeutic, but I got an opportunity to make a little cha-ching ching and stay home and do it. So I may entertain it. So let me take this call. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.